Hey guys, Ben here with Stringer Bridge Farm. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about maybe the dark side of bale grazing. As most of you know, that's basically what we do right now is we bale graze for a couple of reasons, but there are definitely some negatives with bale grazing, and I've got a pretty good example of it right here. But before I show you why I think there are some negatives to bale graze, I'm going to tell you why we do bale graze. And maybe when we'll change over and do something a little bit different. So in the past I have tried unrolling hay maybe once or twice. It's not something I've done much of, but the couple of times I did it, I ended up wasting, I'm gonna say, probably more than 50% of the hay bale. Whereas when we bale graze, I think our utilization is more like 80%, maybe even 90%. Depending on how much I guess the way the mood of the cow herd, how much grass there is to graze in a paddock versus how much of it's just purely going to be hay feed. But basically what happens is if I unroll a bale of hay right now, I've got 30 head and about half of these are younger animals, so either long yearlings or calves. If I unroll a bale of hay, they eat their fill, and then they lay on a bunch of it, soil a bunch of it, and I end up wasting quite a bit. Now, I think what'll happen is as my herd gets bigger and they can eat an entire bale of hay in a day or less, I think that's the point where unrolling becomes beneficial for me. And you can see all these cows, they're coming to the bale of hay. But I guess the point I'm getting to is, you know, bale grazing keeps them from laying in the hay, but what it doesn't do is prevent this from happening. So you could see it's always good to get a little impact on your ground, but I think this is far beyond what's healthy for the ground or for the animals. So you can see this cow right here. She's sinking a few inches in there. They've obviously mucked this area up around this hay bale. And like I said, some impact is good for the soil, but to me, it's not worth it when you start getting this level of impact. Now, we did get about an inch of rain yesterday and about an inch of rain the night before. So we've gotten quite a bit of rain, and this field is clay. So it doesn't take a whole lot of hoof action to really get this ground kind of torn up. And you can kind of see it's like this most of the way around this hay bale. And this ground won't recover very fast, so you mess up the soil structure. It does have a lot of fertility in it, but you mess up the soil structure. Maybe if I'm lucky, I got some I can't think of the type of grass that grows okay when this happens. It's a see, this is the biggest negative to bale grazing, and it's kind of the same thing whether your hay is in a ring or not. You get this really high impact zone around where the hay bale is, and this is what you don't want to happen. So like I said, when my herd gets a little bit bigger, probably next year when I've got more like 40 or so head, I think they'll be able to eat most of a bale of hay in a day. And at that point, I think it'll make a lot more sense for me to unroll hay. And then instead of having all the hoof action in a 30-foot circle on a single hay bale, you end up having all that hoof action over 100 or 150 feet of where you unroll the bale of hay. So you just spread the same amount of action over just a much larger area. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys that even though we do bale graze, you know, like I said, I think everybody has to evaluate what's best for their farm, what works, what doesn't work, and you always want to be adjusting and adapting. And you know, I've gotten lots of comments about the fact that we bale graze, and I think we have good reasons why we do. I think, like I said, it keeps my utilization at, you know, 80 or 90% of our hay versus when I did unroll those couple bales, I got probably more like 50%. So overall utilization, I still do have very weedy pastures. A lot of these were in the process of reclaiming. So these pastures were mostly tallow trees that were in the 10-year-old class. So we're clearing this ground and letting the natural regrowth take over, and which has a lot of weeds. So usually when I place a hay bale down for this bale grazing, I'll go and find the spot that's the weediest or the least amount of vegetation. I don't want to go cover up good vegetation, but I'll go strategically place them to maximize my impact on the places that either need seed or, you know, I don't mind the ground getting torn up. And so that's what usually happens, is you do end up getting some ground torn up, but hopefully it's in the places where I'm okay with it happening. But you can see pasture's not exceptional, but I've got a lot of this little white clover coming up. That's all the green you see out in this field is mostly white clover and some of that ryegrass we planted. But they've kind of eaten on this paddock. I'm going to move them first thing tomorrow morning when that little bit of hay is gone. But you can see overall the cows are they're looking pretty decent. You know, can't really complain about their condition, being this is our toughest time of year for them. They've got some pretty big calves still on them. You know, I don't know how much all the calves weigh. We don't have a scale for them, but you know, the calves are pretty decent size. They're 5-6 months old, a lot of them, and still nursing on their mamas. So, you know, they got a lot of strain on them right now, and they're mostly on grass hay, which it's all Bahia grass hay. So I didn't get this load tested, but I'm gonna guess it's probably in that 8-9% range. So by itself, it probably wouldn't be enough to keep these cows in decent condition, but having a little bit of rye grass and some clover to nibble on helps plenty, because those are, you know, really high protein grasses. So that's certainly helping keep these cows in condition. But I think we've got another month of feeding hay, bale grazing, and then I would think within a month or 6 weeks I'll be in a position where I think we can stop putting out hay, and we'll have enough grass growing that it'll be able to sustain these cows through spring green up, and that's when I'll plant this. I might be a dead man. I don't know if you can see all over me, but got home right before dark trying to get some hay bales moved, and of course a big old clump of muddy water squirted up on me from underneath a tractor tire. So yeah, one of the lovely benefits of bale grazing in the winter. Wish me luck when I show this to my wife.